really love when my plants like tell me what they need by whatever their leaves are doing, because some plants don't do that and then they just kind of die and you don't really know what you did wrong. Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to go over my favorite houseplants for beginners in spring 2019. I'm going to share the houseplants that I have been loving. A lot of them I've had for a couple of years, some of them are newer, and these are just the houseplants that I find really easy to keep alive. So I hope that these ideas are a little bit different than some of the typical plants that you will see people suggest for beginners. I do think a lot of this depends on your climate. I definitely find that different plants thrive in different climates. That doesn't mean that you can't make a plant work in your climate. It just means that what might grow really easily in one climate might not be an easy houseplant for you. I think this also depends on how you like to take care of your houseplants. If you are the type of person who tends to overwater houseplants, which honestly I think is most people, then different houseplants are going to be good for you. I like to take care of houseplants that do regularly need water. Personally, I don't find succulents easy to take care of at all. I've killed basically every single succulent I've ever had in my house, and I have like probably 20 or 30 plants alive in my house. So if you think that you are terrible at taking care of plants, it might actually just be because you need to try some different plants. So I'm guessing that's probably why you're here. So the first plant that I've had for a couple years is my aloe vera plant. And I feel like most people wouldn't consider this a plant that's easy to keep alive, but I've had a lot of luck with mine. My tips for it are to make sure that it's in a very bright location. Mine always sits right by the window. Make sure that the window isn't drafty. If you have a window that has a lot of cold air coming in and out, your aloe isn't gonna like that, and your aloe really isn't gonna thrive in that situation. So make sure that it's by a window that's pretty warm and gets a ton of sunlight. Other than that, my aloe is so easygoing. I actually have a couple different ones. I received one last summer from someone on Facebook Marketplace. She had this huge aloe plant that was just like reproducing like crazy. So she gave me quite a big piece, and it has grown so much, and I basically don't do anything to it. I probably water it once every 3 or 4 weeks. It really doesn't need a lot of water. The second plant that I find very easy to grow is my monstera plant. These are kind of a newer, trendier plant that a lot of people are loving lately, and I love mine. It's grown so well. I would say it likes indirect light. It doesn't like to be right by a window, but it definitely needs regular sun. And then mine likes to be watered probably once every 7 to 10 days right now in the spring. And it's a plant that does kind of show you when it needs to be watered. It will kind of wilt if it needs some water. So I found that it's a pretty fast growing plant, and overall I found that it's pretty easy to take care of. The third plant that I wanted to mention is my Majesty Palm. Pretty popular. Mine's from IKEA. I always see them at IKEA. This plant likes to be watered probably once a week, and this plant is pretty easy, especially since I've gotten the hang of it. Basically, it likes its soil a little bit more moist. I let the top of the soil dry out, and once the top is dry, then I water it again. And the key for my Majesty Palm, at least, is to mist it every couple days, because I live in a super dry climate, and the Majesty Palm is a tropical plant. I find that it thrives if I mist it with water every few days. So I just keep a little spray bottle right beside my Majesty Palm, and it is thriving. And it also likes indirect light. It doesn't need to be right by a window, but it just needs some regular sunlight. And I love that the Majesty Palm is pretty big, and it makes such a statement in a room, and they are so cheap. So if you're looking for something super affordable for a bigger space, I definitely recommend getting a Majesty Palm. The next plant that I wanted to mention, and this is honestly probably my very favorite plant in my house, is my pothos plant, or pothos. I think mine is a golden pothos. I love these plants. This is what I recommend to everybody. It does well basically wherever you put it. It does like sunlight, but I have heard that you can have it in a room with basically no sunlight and it won't die. But if you have it in a room with some sunlight, not necessarily direct sunlight, it's just gonna thrive. It likes being watered about once a week, and when it's thirsty, the leaves kind of droop, and it makes it super obvious that it needs to be watered, which I love in a plant. I really love when my plants like tell me what they need by whatever their leaves are doing, because some plants don't do that and then they just kind of die and you don't really know what you did wrong. So I love my pothos. It has grown so much in the past 6 months. I actually just saw a picture of it last I think it was last August, and it's probably grown like this much, and that's over the winter. That's not even our growing season. So I think pothos are such beautiful plants. That's what I recommend to all my friends that are looking for a houseplant that's easy to take care of. They're available everywhere and they're so affordable. And then the next one is cactuses or cacti. For whatever reason, I've had better luck with cacti than other succulents. They really don't like to be watered basically ever. I water my cactus probably once every 1 to 2 months. I basically don't water it and they are so happy like that. I put them right by a window. They like tons of sunlight. So I found that mine do the best if they are closer to a window, and if you're the type of person that forgets about your plants, a cactus is so perfect because they like to be forgotten about. And then I feel like this is a common one that people recommend for beginners looking for houseplants, but that is the snake plant. This is truly the only plant that I personally have experienced to survive in a very low light room. Our snake plant has basically always been in our bedroom. I pretty much neglect it. I probably water it 1 to 2 times a month. I often forget about it when I water my plants, and it honestly seems to like that. And mine has grown a lot over the years. My snake plant is probably over 2.5 years old, and last summer it shot up like 12 inches in a couple weeks, so I'm really hoping it'll do that again this summer. But I find that snake plants are so easy to take care of. You definitely don't want to overwater them because they are susceptible to root rot if you overwater them. And then as far as light, like I said, mine's in my bedroom. I do try to open the curtains in our room every day, but I honestly don't always, and sometimes they get no sunlight during the day, and even on a good day it only gets a couple hours of indirect light, and it seems really happy there. So snake plants are truly a very easy houseplant. And then the last one I wanted to mention, this is actually funny because this was always the very top of my list for beginner houseplants, but I actually recently kind of killed mine, and that's a jade plant. I think my jade plant was my very first plant ever, like 3 years ago, and it just lived and it was so happy, and I just kind of didn't really do anything to it. And then I think when we moved, I think I started watering it too often because it was in a different location, and I guess I was hoping that if I watered it more it would like that, but it didn't like that, and one day a whole bunch of the leaves fell off. But I basically just took out the dead part and I was able to save about half the plant. So I still think that that's a pretty easy houseplant. Just make sure that you don't overwater it. You want to make sure that the top at least 2 inches of the soil are completely dried out before you water it again, and make sure that it's in soil that's well draining. So that's it for my suggestions for easy houseplants for beginners. I know that everyone's loving houseplants lately. My house is full of houseplants. I've been loving them for years, and I love sharing what I know about them. I'm definitely not an expert, but I feel like I've learned a lot about them over the years. So those are my suggestions if you're wanting to start off your houseplant collection, or if you're wanting to grow your existing houseplant collection. I hope that those ideas help. As always, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and if you're new here and haven't already done so, please make sure to subscribe to my channel. I love posting videos about houseplants and taking care of them, and I will definitely have more content like this for you guys in the future. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.